I feel like I owe you an apology for my long absence. I thought I had regained control of things, basically my life, but it turned out I hadn't. I wasn't out of la chingada like I thought I was. A couple of big things happened in the summer of 2024, so that's last year. And those big things shook me to my core, both personally and professionally. And all that while navigating a midlife fucking crisis. Creo que el universo me estaba hablando y yo no estaba escuchando. So this time it made sure I was paying attention. So I decided to separate from GF, my French partner and the father of my two daughters. And just a couple of weeks later, I lost my job. Moving to France was about giving love a chance, or at least the possibility of it. But over the time, I realized that love wasn't what I thought it would be. Not this fairy tale idea of finding someone amazing to share your life, your time, your space, and your dreams with, this person. Love, I have learned, takes work, a whole lot of work. It demands personal growth, facing your best and worst parts, and learning to take responsibility for your own shit. And I think for me, motherhood was a turning point. The first time I became a mom, I changed. And then again with my second daughter. So my first one, she's 5.5 years old now, and the second one is 2.5. And it wasn't just about giving birth to them. I was also giving birth to myself, a new version of myself. And my daughters, they basically became my mirror. I started seeing all the things in me that I didn't want to pass on them. It was terrifying and amazing at the same time. Those of you who have kids probably know or have experienced this. Kids, they absorb everything. What they hear, what they see, what they witness. That realization triggered a transformation in me. This new version of me didn't want to be stepped on anymore. She didn't want her feelings dismissed. She didn't want to be a people pleaser or leave someone else's dream. She didn't want to keep putting everyone else first, even at the cost of her own basic needs. This new version of me wanted to be strong, to be beautiful, to feel beautiful, to fight for her dreams, to stop caring about others' judgment. I mean, what the fuck? I don't care what they think about this or what the judgment is going to be. This new version wants to follow her heart, to be true to herself, to be aligned, with what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, and what I'm doing. So little by little, I started seeing me. I started listening to me. And I realized that love, it was something that I had built my life around, but like this science fiction or movie version of love, it wasn't real. At least not in the way I had imagined it. It was it was like this Frankenstein version where I was stitching together parts that I've seen in romantic movies, things that I've probably read in princess stories, and of course, the model that I grew up with, which is basically my parents. So I started working on my flaws, and I asked Jeff to do the same, but he didn't see the need of it. What started as a small crack in our relationship became an abyss. We were moving in opposite directions so far apart that I just couldn't see a way back. I couldn't. I warned him so many times, but there was barely a reaction from his part. I was going to therapy, trying to make sense of it all, working on my wounds, just trying to make things better. And I actually thought I had to do it for both of us because he made me believe that. But it wasn't true. I was only responsible for my part. So after many warnings, long conversations, countless tears, frustration, and overthinking everything, I finally made a decision. I had to leave. And it's been 10 months since we made it official. Well, more me making it official. It was tough, of course. He couldn't believe it. How could I do this when I didn't have a job, when I wasn't even in my own country, But I did it anyway because I couldn't keep pretending, because I refused to let my daughters grow up believing that this is what a relationship should look like. I mean, I'm not saying this is what every woman in my situation should do, every mom, or just basically every woman, because every story is different. We do what we can with what we have, right? But for me, there was no other choice. For 10 months, we've been living under the same roof. I'm literally living with my ex in colocation. Thankfully, the house is big enough and it allows each of us to have our own room and bathroom, thank God. But I mean, GF, he is still in denial. I mean, he still calls me chérie, every once in a while, which is quite disturbing. I try to understand it, but, it's just sometimes I just can't. This has been one of the hardest decisions of my life. I had everything, and yet I felt like I had nothing. I was living a life that wasn't really mine, just because that's what I was supposed to do. What people said, or what society said, or, this is what life looks like, right? You have the whole thing, you have the house, the kids, the job. Well, in my case, I didn't have a job, but it's a temporary thing. Still, I wasn't happy. And I didn't love him anymore. Choosing to leave meant stepping into even more loneliness, starting over. Again, doing things completely on my own and without the support system I would have had in Mexico. I mean, I could have crashed at my parents' house while I figure things out. I could have gone and see my friends anytime when I needed comfort. Here in France, I do have friends, yeah, but it's not the same. I mean, even in normal circumstances, I am not entirely myself here. I have to adapt my speech, my actions. I'm not entirely me in French. I'm not me in French actually, the way I am in Spanish or even in English. I can't hug people the way I would do it back home because, well, at least from my perspective, French people just don't hug like that. Or sometimes they just don't hug, period. But despite of it all, I knew I couldn't stay in that relationship, in that fake thing, because it somehow felt fake at the end. I was 40 and I couldn't see myself spending the rest of my life like this, unhappy. Just a mom to someone who said he loved me but didn't want to be with me, like really be with me. So here I am, finding new bricks to build a new life for me and my girls. Yes, it is hard. It is really hard. It is complicated. Some days are good. Some others are really fucking hard. But despite it all, I am sure and I am happy with my decision. For the first time, I am listening to me and I want to keep doing it. I'll keep sharing my story because it helps me process things, see them from a different perspective, reflect on them. And if you're going through something similar, I want you to know you are not alone. Things will get better. I see it in my daughter's smiles, in their shiny eyes every day. I have hope. I have faith. This is just another bump in the road, and better times are ahead. So stay tuned for the next chapter. Take care, stay strong, and do believe in love. Because, well, love starts with us. I have fallen in love with me this time. Thank you for listening to your half enchilada, half baguette friend. Cheers.